Hello and welcome to my college basketball Thursday predictions. I would have done this and Saturday as well as Friday, but on Friday there is no ranked games. It's all just a bunch of unranked games, and Saturday has a heaping load of ranked games. So I'm just going to do a different video for Saturday games, especially since I got to go pretty soon. I don't think I have the time. So let's get straight into it. First up, we have Purdue at Maryland. I liked this Maryland team before they kind of just fell on their face and died. And recently, Purdue has been getting bullied by some of the Big Ten opponents like Northwestern and Indiana, kind of in particular. Let's go ahead and look at Maryland. So Maryland, they went on a good run at the beginning of the season. They actually beat Miami, handing them one of their only losses by 18 points. That's a pretty good win. They also beat ranked Illinois, and at this point, they were undefeated before they took a loss to Wisconsin. They lost by 3 points to number 7 Tennessee. They got whooped by UCLA. Then they win against two pooper teams. They get slaughtered by Michigan. They get beat by Rutgers, but then they beat Ohio State when they were ranked still. They get slaughtered by Iowa. Then they beat Michigan. Then they barely lose to Purdue by 3 points. That's a big one. That's a big one right there. They beat Wisconsin. They beat Maryland. And then they beat Indiana. That's another big one. They slaughter Minnesota. They lose at Michigan State by 5, and then they beat Penn State, which brings us to where we are right now. I definitely say this Maryland team is good and better than what their record is and has the potential to give Purdue a hard time. But let's also be real. Purdue has the capability to destroy every single team they have played, but they just haven't done it every single time. So I'm going to say Purdue takes it by a decent bit, especially since, Purdue's been traveling on the road a lot and getting beaten by some teams that they should really not be losing to as a top 3 team. I don't think there is room. If there is, then Purdue really isn't as high up as we think they should be, because you can't go on the road and just lose to teams that are nowhere near you in terms of ranking and whatnot. I don't know. Purdue better win this one, otherwise their rank might suffer a little bit. Houston at SMU. I don't know a whole lot about this SMU team, but I do kind of know a bit more about the Houston team, and Houston is being completely disrespected by the committee. The audacity. Wait, hold on. I can't remember, actually. No, Alabama beat them, so never mind. Yeah, that's pretty fair. But SMU really 9-17. They're not that good at SMU. Who cares? Houston, it should be number 2. I don't know why it says number 3. They're getting disregarded right now. So another annihilation, just like the Tulsa game. They should just beat the shit out of this team. No problem. FAU at MTSU. I would love to say MTSU wins this, just because I don't believe FAU should be ranked. They only played 2 Power 5 conference schools. One they won by 2 points, and it was at Florida, and the other one they lost, and it was at Ole Miss. I don't even know if it was actually at those stadiums or if it was in a tournament or something like that. It looks like it was just at those teams. But they got whooped by Ole Miss, 13 points, and they barely beat Florida by 2 points. And they only have 2 losses. One of those is outside of, their conference. It's I'm not too sure about FAU being ranked. I get they're 24-2, and yeah, maybe it is kind of a little disrespectful not to rank them, but I'm not too sure. I will say FAU will take this. I don't really know anything about MTSU. I don't really pay attention to these type of teams, like the smaller schools and whatnot. But, as long as FAU keeps winning, then their rank profile keeps going up. But, yeah, I don't see why they shouldn't. They're 24-2 playing teams in their conference. They're like the Purdue of the Big Ten right now. They just should be winning. St. Mary's at San Diego. Another San Diego, the one thing I know about this San Diego team is that ASU kind of beat the crap out of them. St. Mary's is a really good team who took a pooper loss against LMU. That should not have been a loss. And St. Mary's is a lot better than what the rank says. San Diego is all right. I mean, I don't really see an upset inside of San Diego. I feel like they're just a pretty mid team overall. Utah at Arizona. Last time Utah played Arizona, it was like Arizona's, I think, their first loss, and it was a major upset loss. Like, they got their ass handed to them. Utah right now is 17-9, playing for a nice spot in the Pac-12. They're currently 10-5, whereas U of A is 11-4. If U of A loses this game to them, Utah has 2 wins over Arizona, meaning they always have the advantage over them, as well as they'll go up to second place, and they'll be sitting in a nice spot. In first place is UCLA. They're 12-2. They're probably never going to leave that spot. But yeah, Utah has a little incentive to win at U of A, but U of A just lost to Stanford. This is one of their only losses. I don't think U of A is going to take it lightly, and if there's anything I know about U of A is they have a crazy fan base. Like, their stadium gets loud. It is a electric environment inside of a U of A basketball game. So I don't know if Utah will really be able to survive the Wildcat Stadium, really. And not saying that the stadium is going to carry them through this. U of A's got a pretty baller offense when they hit their shots. I mean, recently U of A's been dropping a lot of points on teams. Let's go ahead and look here. Cal at U of A, U of A drops 81 points. Indiana at U of A, U of A drops 89. Texas A&M CC, U of A drops 99. I mean, that's not anything. Arizona beats Tennessee with 75 points. They beat Montana State 85, Morgan State 93. They're one of their only low scoring games that they have won was against ASU, and ASU had such a grand opportunity to take the lead in that game, but we were just as ice cold as they were. And the Washington game, they barely won against Washington at U of A by 3. Then they got beat by Washington State. They scored 61. Then they dropped 86 on Oregon State. And then they just get dropped 87 on them by Oregon. It's like they have these little games where they flip the switch. They stop hitting shots, and the other team starts going crazy. And more possessions means more shots are going to get hit. Then they drop 81 on USC. And then in a very low-scoring game, they beat UCLA. They beat Washington State in another low-scoring game. They 95 points on Washington, 91 points on Oregon, 84 points on Oregon State, 85 points on Cal, and they still dropped 79 points on Stanford. Stanford just dropped way more. 79 points is still a lot. It's just crazy that Stanford hit 88 points. And yeah, so I don't know. This U of A offense can be really, really, they can go crazy. So I don't know if Utah will be able to necessarily survive the Wildcats. Stanford at UCLA. Speaking of Stanford, they just had one of their biggest wins all season against U of A at Stanford. And I feel like it all ends here. I mean, Stanford, back to reality. They're really not that good of a team. They're in 4th place of the Pac-12. They're not good. And UCLA they're climbing right now. I mean, a Purdue loss or any top 3 loss right now pretty much ends up in UCLA just going up. So, I mean, yeah, maybe low scoring. Sometimes UCLA, they like to not do well in games, but it seems like the other team likes to do worse. And hence the U of A UCLA game. They lost, but I mean, U of A still only put up 58 points. Whereas UCLA put up 52. That's a really low-scoring game. It's like whenever UCLA isn't hitting their shots necessarily, it's like the other team isn't hitting their shots. So I feel like that's going to be the situation this game. And our final game of Thursday is Gonzaga at LMU. How much I would love to give it to LMU after LMU pulled off the upset against St. Peter's, as well as I think LMU already beat Gonzaga. Yeah, they beat them on the road, but all good things come to an end. We got to realize Gonzaga's number 13 for a reason. LMU's been going on a crazy streak against these ranked opponents, and I'm like Gonzaga probably isn't going to play nice against LMU. Even though it is at LMU, I feel like this could be close. I'm just going to say Gonzaga's going to take it for the safe answer because I'd love to give it to LMU. Maybe I should be trusting my gut as well, but I'm not going to give it to them. And yeah, that is all. That is all for this video. Yeah, like and subscribe, comment, and tell me any video ideas because I don't really have any other than prediction and review videos. And that's all for me. Adios.